Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Macola 10, a single solution to automate, manage, and grow your business. My name is Julie Blankenship, and I'm a Senior Marketing Manager at Macola. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you sharing some of it with us today. Now, with that said, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. Our first panelist is Steve Featherston with Pre-Sales. Steve has been with Exact for 4 years. Prior to that, Steve managed the implementation of Macola for many of Exact's customers. Prior to Exact, for 16 years, he worked in 3 different companies, all using Macola. Before this, Steve owned his own business for 22 years in the consumer electronics industry. Next, we have Nick Mears, Senior Product Marketing Manager, who has 10-plus years experience in technology B2B and B2C and private and public sector marketing. Nick's background includes tenure with both marketing and PR firms, serving clients in technology, software, healthcare, financial, and manufacturing, including companies such as Abbott Laboratories, Eli Lilly, Nationwide, and Ashland. With that said, I'd like to hand this off to Nick to get us started today.
Okay, well, thank you, Julie. I appreciate the intro there. And I appreciate you joining us today and taking a bit of your time to learn a little bit about Macola 10. I'm just going to do a couple introductory slides here and then hand it off to Steve for the demo. But I just wanted to answer 3 questions. Who uses Macola? Why is Macola different? And how can Macola help you? So first off, who uses Macola? You know, primarily the companies that use Macola are either manufacturing or distribution companies. So that could be just about anything, especially those that are in what we think of as discrete or process manufacturing. It can be metals, household goods, food and beverage. It can be injection molding, industrial machinery. If you're in that space creating something in a manufacturing environment, then you're probably a good candidate for us. And we have thousands of customers who have used Macola just to solve their needs. Now, from a size perspective, you know, typically we work with small, medium-sized businesses. So for that it means basically about anywhere from 20, which should be a really small company, up to about 10,000 employees. It doesn't mean you have to buy 20 licenses for 20 people, but what it can mean is, usually we see companies buying about 25%, maybe up to half or 50%. Of their employees. So if an organization has 100, maybe they're buying 25 up to 50 licenses. Of course, we're happy to explain that and how that can be implemented in your business. Geography-wise, we primarily focus on the Americas, with the U.S. being our dominant footprint. But certainly with Canada and Latin America, they are growing markets for us as well. Here, let's move on here. So basically, Macola has been around for over 40 years. We've served in that time, we've served over 8,000 customers. And I like to say Macola 10, it's all-inclusive and scalable. You can grow into it for no additional module costs. We find that provides strong value. Companies, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this slide because some of the companies who are customers you've heard of before, but it doesn't recognize everyone. It's not truly representative of all of our customers because we have a lot of customers that are behind the scenes, companies maybe that feed into the supply chain. So maybe you've heard of a Simple Green, but you haven't heard of the other 95% of our customers who make something for the supply chain. So this is why I love and hate these 2 slides. But it gives you a sample of who some of our customers are. Okay, so who could benefit from Macola 10? Well, basically, if you're seeing siloed information, you could benefit from it, or you have information everywhere from the office, on the shop floor, and individuals. That's not too uncommon. Also, if you're seeing lost tasks, and then lastly, if you're seeing people who don't quite know their responsibilities, then you could benefit from Macola 10. Now, I just wanted to kick off a poll, though. I wanted to get your guys' feedback here. And Julie, I may have you kick this off if you can. And
Okay.
I wanted to get your guys' participation here. You know, what do you see as the greatest challenge facing your business? Okay. So it looks like we have about 43% with making processes more efficient. And that's followed up 21% collaborating cross functions. Third is centralizing data collection. And then the last two are meeting productivity and revenue goals and ensuring compliance and traceability. Steve, what do you think about that? That's the top, though, is by far making processes more efficient.
Yeah, I think between making processes more efficient, crossing functional areas, trying to collaborate a little bit better, are key areas that I've seen. It's also a lot of what our focus is today on our demonstration. So it's kind of interesting it came out that way.
Sure, good. Okay, Julie, we can go ahead and hide that here, and I'll go to the next slide. Okay, so what makes Macola different? I actually just wanted to share this. This is with Frost and Sullivan, a little industry recognition here. Back in January 2016, they gave an award. Now, the way Frost and Sullivan does it is they do it in retrospect. So for 2015, we awarded this in 2016. This was a best practices award for ERP. I do know that there's a couple other awards that are coming down the pike here. I'm not at liberty to speak of those quite yet, but I do feel that as we undergo some industry, some more work in this industry, we're starting to get more recognition for it as well. And we're excited for what we've been getting and what we could be getting here coming up here. Okay, a couple points here that makes Macola different. First, it's really all-inclusive, and this is very valuable. We find it from surveys of our customers that not just one or two, but all these being included in the solution are of value, from manufacturing to distribution to customer relationship management. This is being an all-inclusive package is of great value. Now you can say I'm not ready. I only need a couple of those, and that's fine. You can use what you need, but down the road, if you want, you can grow into others. So we like to say it's scalable. You use what you need, and you can grow into the rest, and they're there for you at no additional cost. If you're interested, there's a lot here, Steve, isn't there? I'm not going to read them all, but these are just a few of the features and functionality that Macola 10 addresses.
Yeah, Macola 10 brings a lot of the functionality people are looking for in a modern ERP system to what would be our core ERP package to begin with. So it does add a great amount of functionality to it.
Absolutely. And we'll see some of that, right, coming up here. But before, I just wanted to launch here a second poll. So, Julie, if you can start this off, what core function of ERP does or could benefit your organization the most? Okay, Steve, so it looks like, this is a little bit closer. The leader, though, is distribution with inventory management. Second is accounting and finance at 27%, just a bit behind. Real-time data. And then we have a three-way tie for third place. Project management, manufacturing, and CRM all are tied there. Any thoughts on that?
I'm seeing a lot from project management and customer relationship management over the last couple of years. We've been very strong in manufacturing, distribution, and accounting since the creation of Macola, but I'm getting a lot more interest from customers and clients on the other two that actually came up at 13% each, the project management, customer relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have the bread and butter, the distribution and accounting and finance, and then the other three, which you're actually seeing grow more of. Okay, thanks, Julie, and thanks everyone for thanks for your vote. Okay, back to what makes Macola different. Integrated functionality. So basically, this integrates your different teams within your organization. kind of going back to that siloed approach, eliminating silos. Configuration instead of customization. Now, configuration, it means out of the box configurable. You don't have to have costly development to implement some of these what we call configurations that Macola 10 is so good at. Automated workflows that increase efficiencies, reducing manual effort and paperwork. We find that that is definitely a hot item. So what does automated workflows look like? It can look like something like this. First, you have all these disparate tasks, and maybe you're seeing this within your organization, and there may be pain points. Maybe they're not getting followed up on, or they're slipping between the cracks. But first, what we say for this process is you have to order the process. And then once you order the process, you can actually start to automate things. And we'll show an example of this here shortly, won't we, Steve, of what this actually looks like within an organization. And you also see that certain steps have actually been replaced. They've been automated. A person doesn't have to manually do them at all. Macola 10 does. I'm excited for Steve to show what that could look like. Okay, next, personalizable views into the data that matters to you. Now, Macola 10 has 42 out-of-the-box role-based workspaces that give key metrics and KPIs. And it also, we also give you the ability to configure your own workspaces as well, if that's not enough. You can perform transactions. And we've even had customers say, I've had entire employees where they can do their entire job on one screen. And it's just, that's the way it's designed so that you don't have to be switching around to different systems. Everything they need is available in a single or one or two screens. Okay, anytime, any device, if you need it browser or mobile based, you can access them, and we've been trying to build this out, starting with those who use mobile the most. Macola 10 is a very large solution with thousands of screens, but we realized that it's browser-based is the future, and that's where we're taking this. Now, Steve might show an example of that as well. And last up is flexible purchase options, and don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but we're happy to explore these with you as well. So how can Macola help you? You know, whether you are one of these roles, you may see some of these, you may have some of these needs, and Macola can help with that. Whether it's KPIs in real time or managing the supply chain, reducing costs, or a single solution instead of like having to manage multiple systems. We find that there are many benefits to very, very different roles. Here, I wanted to share this too. I like this. It's a quote from one of our customers. It used to take between 3 to 5 days to quote one of our large jobs, and now we're down to half a day. That is a significant savings, and it's a very real benefit of them switching to Macola 10. Here's another one. In one department, we drop 4 hours every day on one task, and that's really just by using workflows and document management. And we thought that was impressive. Can you imagine dropping 4 hours in a role every day? I mean, that adds up. 4 hours a day times 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month. You know, you do the math, and that is a significant savings in time. So I just wanted to offer a couple of those examples here, and wanted to pass it along now to Steve.
Great. Thank you, Nick. Good afternoon, folks. Today we're going to do a walkthrough of the quote-to-cash process in the latest version of Macola 10. In order to do this, we're going to end up assuming different roles. So we're going to be in a sales role and maybe some order processing, end up in purchasing and production, move to shipping, do some invoicing through the finance department, and those roles basically will start out with Ron Calley at the top here, where it is a sales opportunity, may enter a quote, he may end up reviewing this while he's on the field on his mobile phone. He might promote that quote. That in turn creates an automation to support for sales, who then would take that quote and turn it into a sales order. And turning that sales order into a sales order itself would probably create another automation that would notify a handful of people in the company that, hey, we just got a big order for one of our customers. So we'd end up processing that order in sales support, print the pick ticket, and purchasing would get notification that they've got a big order and they need to start addressing it. So they may look to see if they can create some purchase orders for that product, maybe automatically, release those purchase orders, and receive the product for the production team. Our production team here may, again, get that automated notification, but the production order was already created by the sales order being entered. He may confirm his inventory, he may release the production order and report production on it. That product then moves over to the shipping department, and the shipping department's got a heads up that this order's on its way, and he may end up shipping that product out and creating a notification to finance to do the billing. The bills then get billed out, invoices get printed. Hopefully one day we receive the cash on it, and our CEO down at the bottom would be reviewing on his dashboard all of those KPIs. So that's kind of the process that we're going to take today, is to walk through these multiple steps and process an order basically from quote to cash. So without further ado, we're going to put Macola 10 in motion. So presently we're looking at the screen for Macola 10. This happens to be my desktop. I'm Ron Calley in this situation, and Ron Calley is our sales rep. Now this is accessed through basically a website, so it's a link to a URL, can be opened through your browser. And Ron's going to be working with a particular account today. He's going to be working with Dove Equipment Corporation. And with Dove Equipment, he's been working on some sales opportunities for some air compressors is what we've been working with. So I could go to opportunities here in the monitor section and open that up and be able to see all of the opportunities that are there for Dove Equipment Corporation, and I could create a new opportunity from here if I wanted to. And there's a handful of fields that you may fill out here that are required for the setup of the opportunity. In this case, I'm going to open an existing opportunity that we have for them. This will be for the 30 horsepower compressors that we're working with. Now, when I entered this opportunity, it had a $30,000 potential sale amount. I'm at about 90% is what my impression of it closing is, so I've got $27,000 in an expected amount. It is for our 30 horsepower scroll compressor. We are working with a general contractor, American Electric, with this, and we do have some competition out there of another company who's bidding against us. Now this is for Dove Equipment. We're working with our contact there, Javier, and this, when you create an opportunity, it launches a series of workflows that takes you through the sales process. So you might start out at the qualification stage, and when you've talked to them and spoke about what their needs are, you might actually build a needs analysis for them, and this works through a series of steps that are predefined and configurable. Right now we've gotten through the first 3 steps and we're in contract negotiations. Hopefully at the end of the day we'll have a close of sale. So Ron's going to work with this account, and let's say they wanted to get a quote out to him on that particular item. So we might end up going over to the orders inside of here and create a new quote for Dove Equipment. It fills in the details from the account card for it. Now we may tie this to a project. If we have a project for compressor sales, tie that project to it so we can collect the possible revenue. And we may also tie it to the opportunity that we were just working with, so we can have our opportunity plugged in there, and we can make some changes as to the delivery address or who we're going to actually send the quote to. We might make some notes inside here that are for the customer to see, and then maybe some notes that are strictly internal. When we save this, we're at the point where we enter the line items of a quote, and we're going to go and search for that SLE series of air compressors and add one of these to the order. It is noting we have absolutely none of these on hand, so I'll be aware of that as I'm going through this. This is quote number 169. Now when I go and save this, I would expect that the automation system would then send a copy of this quote to the customer for approval. I could actually go and print this quote right from here and send it directly if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask because I just did receive a PO on this, I'm going to ask for this quote to be promoted. And what that's going to do is create an automation or a workflow that will trigger the people in sales support that we have a quote that needs to be converted into an order, and that'll kind of start the whole process to get this scroll compressor built and out of the system. So I'm going to end up promoting that. I'm going to go back to my home screen here for a moment. Now, what I did want to just take a quick look is to see if I can bring up my mobile app on this. The mobile app will enable us to be able to see all of what Ron just put in, the sales orders he's put in, look up inventory on hand, to be able to get to his opportunities and actually do transactions on them, or be able to see what customers are in the area where he happens to be with his phone right at that moment. Okay, so I'm on an iPhone, and you should be seeing my screen now. Nick,
Yes.
I know you do.
We do now. There we go.
And we see Ron Calley's mobile app. And then we have a couple of different mobile apps. Some of them are designed for expense entries. This one's sort of on the CRM side. And if we go and take a look at what my incoming workflow would be, now we had workflow related to those opportunities. So this is kind of like your email having to do with workflow. So let me just touch on that, and we're going to see Ron Calley's inbox. Now, I can see he's got a complaint sitting up there that something was damaged in shipment for Dove equipment that he might work with. We did touch on the fact that the opportunity that he was working with for air compressors was in contract negotiations. That's the second one down. And I should be able to drill into that and see some of the detail of it. That's for that 30 horsepower compressor. If I want to go from that opportunity to approve it, I can just hit the green approve button, and I will have completed my task in that workflow. I should be able to also click on Dove equipment from here and be able to go to their account card where I can see their address. I can use that to go to Google Maps. I can get their telephone number and contacts and be able to contact them. If I go back to some of the other features that are here, let's go back to my home page, so to speak. I can go and click on orders and be able to see all of the orders that have recently been put in the system. I can drill into those orders, or if my vision's really good on an iPhone, I can open up an order and create a new order from here. I think I'd probably end up on a tablet or something doing it, but that just has to do with real estate and your vision. From here you can also do inquiries on stock. So if you wanted to know, customer was looking for a particular bicycle, we can type in bike AS and see I got 961 of them in Massachusetts and 972 of them in my California location. Now some of the features that I like that tie nicely to your iPhone or to your Android here is, let's say I was out visiting a particular customer in an area and maybe my call ran short and I'm looking for any others. I can touch on this proximity function and it identifies where I am. I'm in northern New Jersey and there's two customers that are very close to me. One's Marlowe Manufacturing, the other one's John's Hot Dog Shop. So based upon timing, I could either go to John's Hot Dog Shop and talk to them, maybe catch some lunch, or head over to Marlowe Manufacturing and discuss with them, some opportunities that we may have with them. So the mobile app is fairly versatile with that. It is a two-way street, so you can make changes and entries inside of here, and it will update your workflow and things inside of Macola 10. So if I just grab that damaged in shipment function here and said I'd like to realize this and complete my task in it, maybe I'll have added some notes, maybe I can remark or copy somebody else on it. But if I'm done with it, I basically just touch on the Realize tab and that then goes and processes this workflow and it ends up being completed, and I've satisfied whatever issue is happening with Javier Cabrera there at Dove Equipment with the product that I think was a perfume product that was damaged in shipment when it arrived. So what's going to happen next is if we log in as somebody with sales support is that our sales support technician here, Robin Smith, should have a notification. Here's Robin, and should have a notification in her incoming workflow. Now, workflow is a lot like Outlook, and the requests inside of it are a lot like emails. There are things that have to be done to complete your job, but maybe there are things that are related to customers and vendors and we want more visibility of. So I can drill into that quote and be able to see the details of you know, we have a quote that needs to be promoted. This was created by Ron Calley, and the quote is number 169. So she might just approve that and say that's what I need to accomplish, and I'll go in to be able to promote this quote. So quote number 169, as I enter that and tab through it, it will light up a field in the upper right, be able to convert that quote and all of its details into a sales order. So when I press convert quote on here, I now have the availability of selecting the next order number. I could change the customer to a different customer at this point if I've quoted the same quote to multiple customers and one have taken it. I'm going to leave it with Dove Equipment right at the moment, say OK to that, and we now have a quote in the system for that series of compressors. Now, because I've created that sales order in the system, our event management or our heads-up alerts have kind of picked up on that, and will create a workflow to notify other people in the company that the quote's been put in, and that we need to start preparing for, you know, what might be required to get that order in place. And so we're going to log out as Robin, and we're going to log in as somebody from purchasing, who may be the next step in this. Is there anything I need to buy to be able to fill this order? So we're going to log in as a purchase rep here, and his name's Jack Davis. See him in the corner up top. And he has received a heads-up alert that we just got a large order that was entered for Dove Equipment Corporation. Now, he may not know what that order is all about, so he could drill into it and see that it's for Dove Equipment. I can actually get to their account card from here, or I can use this hyperlink to take me to the order and be able to see the details of the order. So we're working on this scroll compressor. I know what those are. I know what the parts are for them. So, you know, maybe I can take a look and see if the system is recommending that I buy anything for it. Am I going to be short of any particular parts for it? And that's what MRP is all about. MRP behind the scenes kind of looks to see what you've got in the way of sales orders and inventory and production orders, and as it runs once or twice a day, it'll generate recommendations. So if I go and I take a look at what is MRP's recommended for generating purchase orders, and specifically for this TS series of air compressors, it has gone out and recommended that there are 3 different items I'm going to be short of to complete this order. One of them is for 1 piece, another is for 6 pieces, and the following is for the remaining 6. Now, if I want, I can just say, I want to create a purchase order for this, and it's going to go and take the recommendations and create a PO for this. I'm going to process these items. Now I'm going to show this to screen just because I want the next available purchase order to show up for me here. It's 452, and so I can actually go in to that purchase order and see the detail of what it's just created for me. So order number 452 is for Shimani Corporation, and it's got the exact parts that I need on it for that particular order. Now, we're going to assume that the receiving department a day or 2 later is going to receive those components in, and that we'll be ready to move forward with it. Next step in the process is actually through the production department. So we're going to log in as Bruce Huntington. I'm going to take a look and see what his workspace looks like. And Bruce has also gotten some type of a heads up that the order is, a large order has just been placed for Dove. And he can go in and take a look and again click on that order to be able to see what it is that he's supposed to be manufacturing, what the dates are for it. And he may end up checking his production schedule to see how he can fit that in. But in automation of this, if I go into the type of order that he needs to create for it, by entering the sales order, the system should have released production order number 332 here. Actually created it, not released. The status is U on the right. You can see it there. It's an unreleased order. And I'm going to drill into this order and say, okay, that's fine. This is for sales order number 895. It's for Dove Equipment Corporation. I needed to get out as soon as possible. I know the purchasing department's doing their job on it. So we'll release this order, turning it from a sort of an automated process to manual control over it. We might end up printing the production order for it to be able to get the paperwork we need out to pull the product out of inventory and also to get the parts put together for this particular assembly. So there are the parts, and we may have, you know, some work instructions attached to this. He has released that to the production department. Now, the next step after they put that part together would be to report production on it. So we'll take that order number 322, I think it was. Let me just double check. Yep, that's this one that's printed. And I'm going to report that we've created this, this item, but I'm going to add some labor in it. Now, I could have a bill of material in production order processing that brings the labor in automatically, but it takes some people a little bit longer and a little bit less time to assemble this, so I'd like to just add that in kind of on the manual fly here and just say I have some assembly time and overhead for this, and it took the person a certain amount of time to be able to do that. And I'm just kind of adding the value-added cost to this one on the fly for it. We'll say the order is complete. Now when I save this, I'm reporting production. So we're going to see an inventory transaction next. That inventory transaction, because this is a lotted item, is going to throw a lot number on this. And we're going to put one of these into inventory. And we step out of that, and we will have completed the production on that. So that item is going to end up wheeling its way over to the shipping department. When Peter Bailey in shipping get to look at it, he'll probably check and see what his shipping schedule is for that item. So if we log in as somebody from shipping, we're going to assume Peter Bailey's role here. And he again has that same heads-up alert that everybody else has got about that particular order. We'll just take a quick look at it so that we know what the order number was, and it's order 895. So he may end up opening up his shipping lineup and seeing what else he has to go out today. And although we have a lot of orders here, let's try to filter this report. Now this is an interesting kind of report. I call it a report, but it's almost all that the shipping department needs to be able to get product out the door. Let's take a look at what needs to go out today. And so we've got a couple of orders that need to go out today, and you can see what customers they're for and what ship method that they're for, and then again what line items are on those particular orders. What I will need to do is to be able to ship that order out is to basically confirm ship that order has left. So I'm going to end up doing that. So I'm going to work with a workspace here that will enable me to pack and ship that order. We're going to confirm ship, order number 895, and see what my date issues may be. And save on that. I'm going to ship all those items. So it's okay to ship. Select the item from manufacturing that we had made for it, the one that's slot controlled for it. Hit save, and I have now effectively shipped that order out. I can add some shipping costs onto this if I wanted to, or some handling charges for crating it, put all of that in it at the shipping department level. Now, in doing that, as soon as the order has actually shipped and left the building, we should get notification to the finance team to complete the billing process on it. So as we log in as Joe Whitmore from finance, we should see some type of a heads-up alert from him that not only has that order come in from Dove Equipment Corporation, but the order has also shipped out. So here's our invoicing notification that the order has left the building and that it needs to be processed. And so he'll end up processing that order through the billing, printing of the invoice, and posting of the invoices. So as we log into the billing application, I'm going to work with order 895, and we're going to end up saying we're going to bill all the items on that order with today's date for an invoice date. And there is the $50 and the $20 we have for freight charges and miscellaneous, in addition to some sales tax that have been calculated and some commissions that are related to it. We save that, and the order has been selected for billing. We're going to end up printing the invoice on this, order number 895. We'll throw in our name and address. These can all be defaulted in place. And we should now have a invoice generated that's custom to my company. Now, you can have this display your company logo. You can have it in any format that you want. It's kind of entirely up to you as to what you'd like it to look like. We're just using a default one straight out of the box, but note that it does have the lot information inside of the invoice, so we can see that detail. So we step out of this, it's going to ask if the invoice printed correctly. This is the last opportunity you have to make a modification to the order before you end up posting it. So we're going to say that that worked correctly, and we'll end up posting in all the invoices in the system. Basically 895 is, I think, the only one that we have up and running at this point. Might move from that point to receiving cash on that. We can step over and say we want to do a cash entry for this, and I know we have multiple bank accounts, so I'm going to select the one for Bank 1 here, and we're going to receive $30,000 worth of cash for this invoice, and we will say that it came in on check number 45455454. Deposit date today, most people use the date 2/22/2017, and we're going to end up saying that this is for Dove Equipment Corporation. And there is our cash entry. Now if I wanted to, I could go directly to matching this cash entry up with the invoice that we just produced. So I'm going to hit the match button here. It's got our cash entry of $30,000 on the left-hand side. And I'm going to go and grab this $28,000 invoice that we just did today. Now it has realized that there's $1,310 overpaid, so when I match this invoice to the cash entry, it's going to ask me, what do I want to do with that $1,300? Do I want to leave it as a prepayment on the account? Do I want to put it as a balance? Do I want to refund it? We'll just leave it as a credit on the account. So it's disappeared, and that $1,300 is left here for a future next payment, and we've ended up receiving cash on this. So we've kind of completed the whole process of getting it out the door, and at this point we're going to go in and assume the identity of who might be the CEO in the company, which is our executive here, and that's Glenn Weissman. So we log in as Glenn. He's going to end up with a series of different web parts that are his executive scorecards, his control accounts, maybe some sales information year over year. He gets some quick displays that his 2017 year is doing much better in January and February than both 2015 and 2016 were. And he's able to even get some detail on this if he kind of hovers over this. Now, things on this screen become actionable, so if he wants to look into some detail of specific items and features, he can. Right now I'm looking at my sales month to date has gone up to $145,000. That's been a change of recent. Last time we looked was at $130,000. We have our sales history prior year, some detail of that, but more importantly, we can drill into some things that might seem kind of interesting from here. So if I wanted to, I could kind of drill into different dollar amounts. This projected order revenue here looks kind of interesting, and as I hover over it, notice my cursor changes to a hand with a pointer. It means it's actionable. I can do something with it. So I might drill into that and open up a sales dashboard. This sales dashboard gives me a little bit more detail as to that $53 million, that's potential order revenue. I could drill from there to the actual order detail and see all of the orders that make it up. But more importantly, I'm really kind of focused on the top 10 customers because we've been doing a lot of work with Dove Equipment, and if I take a look at them, they're probably our highest customer year to date as far as sales is concerned. I can also see my top 10 items and also how my sales reps are doing. I can see some statistics here about prior year sales and year-to-date sales and month-to-date sales, but it's Dove Equipment's got my attention. So can I drill into them and get maybe a little bit more detail? I could get an accounts receivable list on them, or I could do a customer snapshot. Now if I do that snapshot, I can actually see they started with us in 2016 in June, and they've been with us for up till 2017 February, and their January-February sales are really very strong. They owe us $145,000 in open AR between these 30 to 90-day buckets. Their average days to pay is 36 days. I can see that we've had $335,000 of sales this year compared to last year, which is $685,000. So in 2 months, they've already completed half the sales that they've had for the prior year. I can also see any open orders that they may have in the system over here, be able to see the detail of this. So the point of all of that is that the the CEO is able to start at his workspace and be able to drill into different numerics here, different metrics, and be able to get information about this and about how his company's doing. He can also make decisions right from here, and that's the idea of some of these snapshot reports, is to be able to get information up and in front of him that, or her, that he can make decisions on what to do with his business and make some choices and move forward. So let me log back out as Glenn, and that kind of completes the order to cash process and a review of that from the CEO. Nick, I'll pass it back over to you and Julie. Thank you for your time with this.
Okay. Thank you again, Steve, for showing us Macola 10 in action. And we just had a few parting thoughts here wanted to share with you. First, Macola 10, it is a single solution with all-inclusive value. Second, anywhere web and mobile access. Configuration instead of customization. Increased efficiencies with automated workflows, and we saw a couple of those, didn't we, Steve? Flexible purchase options, and then personalizable views into the data that matters the most to you. And that was actually one of my favorite parts, is how you actually kind of drill down into different roles and show that a lot of those screens can actually be configured. If there's data that's not on there that you want that role to have, then there's a way to fix that. So I just wanted to, before we get to Q&A here, and I know we definitely want to always leave time for Q&A, but just wanted to ask you to take a look at the Macola website. You can see customer success stories, YouTube videos for the latest release. Any additional product information is available there as well. Also, we're going to be sending up a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to view the recording. And then also after this demo, we're going to have a survey, and if you could give your feedback, we would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Okay, so let's head over here to questions and answers. Let's see if we have any questions here for us today. Okay, Julie, do we have?
I think, yeah, I think we've got a few here. So one question right now, hold on, is Currency Manager an add-on to EM10? Someone just asked.
No, it's not. It's included.
Okay, great. And we have another question. Are the KPIs on the executive dashboard customizable?
Yes, they are. Absolutely.
Yeah, Steve, is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head that might be configurable? Something that an executive might be interested in seeing?
Well, a lot of those snapshots, or what they call web parts, are pre-configured to have different information on them, so that they can kind of be dropped right in place. But if you needed a different SKU or view on it from there, yes, then it's a matter of adjusting that particular SSRS report to reveal exactly what you needed. I don't know whether I'd call it a customization, because lots of people write reports and have them just the way that they need to see the data. So I'd consider it more of a configuration.
Yeah, configurable. Okay.
Okay, it looks like we've got a few more here. We have been with Macola since '94 and recently moved to EM10. Are quality and engineering modules separate?
Okay, my best answer to that, and I'll just delve into the experience that I've had being a user, being a customer of Exact, and holding roles anywhere from IT to operations to general management. The tools that are inside of Macola 10, specifically when we're talking about engineering and quality management, the tools that we use to build out a solution like that are the workflow module, the document management module, and the reporting. And I've never found that every company has the exact same needs. So being able to kind of configure a quality environment or an engineering workspace for yourself is a lot more versatile for companies rather than having a predefined one that you can't move that's rather rigid. So in our demo environment, I've got quality built out for lots of the nonconformance, for return to vendor processes, first article inspections. All of these are done with workflow and with configuration, and then reporting back on it using some of the native pivot tools that are available with the workflow reporting. Same thing on the ISO side. I've used the same tools for ISO auditing, for tracking those audits, for the success of those audits, and then the return information audit and reporting.
Okay, great. Here's another one. What is the service dispatch board that was shown on one of the screens?
Actually, that service dispatch was done very specifically for one of our prospect customers who in turn did end up buying our software and going with us for that solution. But it was their need was to be able to send people out on the road and be able to service, I think at that point it happened to be a boiler that they were servicing. And that service dispatch would kind of keep track of their schedules, their time clocks, the tasks that they were completing, the parts that they were using. Again, all configured much like the quality module would be configured as out of workflow and document management and a feed back to order entry for billing.
Okay, great. Can invoices be emailed or faxed directly at the time of processing the invoice?
Two answers to that. One is that you can have the automation system do it immediately, which it can be watching every 30 seconds for an invoice having be completed. Or another is that you can flag a particular order that this is one of those invoices you want to have go out immediately, and then again the automation aspect of it would look for that flag and send out that unique invoice immediately rather than send all of them immediately. So it's kind of flexible.
Okay, great. How many workspaces come with EM10?
Well, I think, Nick, you listed in your PowerPoint, I think,
Yeah, we
42.
said 42, right? Right.
I've been rolling somewhere between 50 and 60 of them. And I'm not sure who's more accurate at that. Some of mine are, I will take a workspace that comes canned out of the box and make a slight adjustment to it. Some of my numbers may be higher, but if you add the stock workspaces up with the web parts like we saw on the CEO workspace, there's quite a number of them that you can work with.
Yeah, and that really just shows that you can configure. Like you said, you just made a couple tweaks to develop almost a new workspace as well. So that was a good question.
Okay, great. A couple more here. Are you DFARS compliant for cybersecurity, or as an example, cybersecurity?
It's a good question. That's a question that's come up a lot, and I'm not quite sure I'll have the right answer for that, because a lot of this has to do with, is your network secure? Is your data being backed up? Is your data secure? So a lot of this has to do with IT infrastructure, in addition to, can the right people see what they need to see in the software, and can the people who should not see certain data points be prevented from that? So if I answer that on the exact side, our software will allow people to see what they need to see, but not necessarily see the documents or bills of materials or things that are critical to defense contractors and things like that. But I think the DFAS really has more to do with IT security and data protection, if I understand it correct.
I think we've got one more in the queue, and that is, how does customer and or supplier portals work with EM10?
Okay, well, Macola 10 offers several portals for people to get in. One would be an employee portal, one would be a reseller portal, and then again, the two that the question was addressed to was supplier or customer portals. So the idea here is, so far, is the website we're showing of Macola 10 might be internal to my building and nobody can access it from outside. If you actually open up that website through your firewall in a secure configuration, then all of your employees, your customers, your vendors are enabled to be able to connect to your Macola 10 environment, and you administer what they need to see or what they have access to. I mentioned the technical side of all of that because it's important anytime you open something up to the internet that you follow standard networking protocols and Microsoft's recommendations. But when doing so, it then opens these portals up for your customers and your vendors to be able to get in. I do believe that there's a separate license involved in that compared to a regular user license. It's more of a lightweight license, but that enables your top customers, if you have your top 10 or 20 customers, to be able to get in and look at their own orders and work with their own communication back and forth, be it a customer complaint or an issue with a product or that damaged in shipment function that we just looked at could have been submitted by the customer. You can use the same type of CRM functionalities for communications with your vendors. So those portals are something we use at Exact all the time. We run our business on this, and all of our resellers get in through a portal.
Okay.
So
No.
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think that shows some definite value there. Just another way that you can configure Macola 10 to do or provide the information or do the task that you want it to. So I think with that, maybe we'll just wrap it up here. And I just wanted to thank you, Steve, for your help, and Julie for moderating as well. And I want to thank all of you for attending and sharing your time with us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. If you have questions, you can send them to me at nick.mears@exact.com. We'll be following up with an email tomorrow with this information, so you can send your questions, a reply to me tomorrow as well. And again, there'll be a survey at the end here. We'd really love to get your feedback. All right, everyone, thank you. Thank you again for your time, and have a great afternoon. Take care.